Hello,
Hello,
everyone. Oh my
everyone.
God. I feel like my tone is
Excuse
the same
me.
every time.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
But hello, everyone.
We are back, and I thought we would talk about our childhoods now a little bit. Like when we were in Canada, of
Yeah,
course.
yes. So we were deciding what topics we want to talk about, and I thought it would be really interesting just to talk about what kind of stuff we were into when we were younger, because these kind of hobbies and stuff does depend like country wise.
Yeah, but ours is more North America wise.
Yeah, like if you're like not from North America, you might not know about these. So I thought it'd be just fun to kind of share and
Yeah.
talk about what we used to do when we were younger.
So I didn't like books when I was young, but when I was in grade four, I read this one book and then I was completely immersed into books after that.
That never happened to me.
It still didn't happen for Sally. Sally's still not there.
No, I reading is not a big hobby of mine now. I tried to make it like more of an effort when I was in college,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought I would like to share some of the interesting books that I've read that I feel like kids now don't know about.
I'm not in Canada right now and I'm not 10 right now. So I don't know what kids read nowadays, but the
Yeah.
first book that I read that really got me hooked onto books was by Judy Bloom, the author, and it was a book called Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Yeah, I've never read that book.
But Judy Bloom books I like quite in general, and I feel like
Yeah.
this one is a really good story. It's not really about like Christian God, but it's just the
Mhm.
fact that this little girl is talking to someone up there about her problems and things like
Mhm.
that. So I think it's a really good book to try out. I realized that that book actually it came out in 1970. When I was trying to research some of the books that I read when I was younger,
Yeah.
I saw that it was written in 1970, and then I was like, "Oh, I did not
Ooh,
realize it was
rip.
that old." But it's a really good book. Do you have any books that you've read?
Excuse me. I read some books. Stop doing that.
You read a lot of
Um,
Roald Dahl books as well.
who's
Do you
that?
like the BFG, James and the Giant Peach?
I've never read James and the Giant Peach or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory,
Oh my god,
but the
I
one
don't.
book that I really liked reading was The Big Friendly Giant.
Which is the
Because so there's
BFG?
this one, yeah. So the iconic thing that I really liked about this book, so giants in that book eat like little kids, right? But there's a big friendly giant. I'm just trying to simplify. And the big friendly giant doesn't want to hurt like people. So he lives off of was it's like a bitter cucumber stuffed with like tuna or something. Like
Schwartz something?
yeah, so he doesn't eat people. He'll eat like, kind of other types of food.
Yeah.
And the really funny thing about that book is at the end of the book, they actually showed the recipe of how to make the food that the BFG eats. And just
Yeah.
reading the recipe, it sounds disgusting.
I think it was called the Snoz cucumber or something.
Oh yeah, yeah, or something along those lines. But it was like meant to be a really bitter cucumber that
Yeah.
wasn't pleasant to eat. Because I remember in the beginning of the book, they'd be like, "Oh, sometimes if we wanted like a kick, we would eat someone from Chile." Like they would have those like play on words.
In a
I know
small
it's bad,
children's book.
but I
Oh
think
my
that's kind
god.
of the stuff they had in the beginning, and like I think it like shocked me a little bit.
Yeah.
But
You know this author wrote Matilda, right?
yeah, yeah, I know he like or they don't even know who they are. Wrote all those books, but I only gravitated towards reading The Big Friendly Giant for some reason.
Yeah. Matilda is also a very good book. Probably people know the movie, but Matilda is also a really,
Yeah.
really good book. I liked it a lot. I read I read books when I was little, I think.
Another childhood book that I really, really liked reading was The Magic Tree House.
The
It's like
series, yeah.
it's a series, so it's very thin books, so they're not like super super long. But basically, the gist of it is there is siblings, right? So there's brother and a sister, and they find this magic tree house with lots of books inside. So they're like, oh my god, these books are so cool. They're like, stories of different places on Earth, like in the future, in the past, and all that stuff. And if they read one of the books like in the treehouse, I think they had to read it like out loud. They actually got teleported to the place where the book takes place, and they had to
Yeah.
solve like a problem or like a mystery before they were able to make it back home. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a good way of exposing kids to like different cultures and like different like uh time
Eras,
zones.
yeah.
Yeah, because it was very very broad of the places that they were able to travel to, and I did really enjoy reading those books.
I
I
think
think
Sally was more
I
into like fantasy books.
yeah, I don't really like I don't know. I have to I think I had a good imagination when I was younger, and I wanted to explore that kind of stuff. So I loved
Mm-hmm.
reading like The Magic Tree House. Um there's like these other books that I really enjoyed reading. I don't know if people know it now, like the younger kids now, but they were called the Geronimo Stilton book series. So it's
It's the
basically a
mouse one,
mouse.
right?
Yeah, it's a mouse who goes on like different adventures, similar to Magic Tree House. It can be, different eras, different cultures, different countries. And the main reason why I loved reading these books was all the adjectives that they used in the book were written in a font that would emphasize that adjective. So pretend they wrote the word spooky, then spooky might be written in like the generic like horror like fonts in the books.
Yeah.
So they really try to engage, I think, their audience by making it more colorful and more interactive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I really enjoyed from that. Like a lot of the words are written and they're designed in a way to, I guess, keep kids' attention spans.
Yeah.
And the story was also like good. Like I really enjoyed the stories as well. But
Mm-hmm.
those were also books that were very popular in like scholastics when we were younger.
Oh,
So I did
scholastics. Oh my
really
god.
enjoy reading Geronimo Stilton. I think they're still being produced now, probably.
Maybe. I'm just trying to think. I don't think you read any Harry Potter books, did you?
No, I think I read like one line in book three without reading book one and two, and then I was like, I don't like
I don't know how
this.
someone does that.
I have no clue
How can you
either.
start a
I like
book
don't
from book
understand.
three and not from book one?
I don't even know.
I
But
used
I
to get
did
in
not
so
read Harry
much
Potter.
trouble at night because mom would tell me to go to bed and I'd be like under my blanket cover with like a flashlight and I'd try to be reading and then she'd see the light peeking from under the door and then she'd come and like be
Mm-hmm.
like, "Excuse me, I told you to go to bed." But then once I start reading a book, I was that kind of person where I couldn't just leave it hanging in the middle. Like I would
Yeah.
have to get to some point of the book where there's some sort of closure because I would
Yeah,
be
yeah, like
thinking
plot
about it.
closure.
Yeah. But Harry
I
Potter
think
was
when
one of my
mom saw
favorite
you,
books.
yeah, I think when mom saw you reading Harry Potter, she used to nag me when I was younger. Why don't you read Harry Potter? Like she's like, everyone loves Harry Potter. How can you not like Harry Potter? I don't know, mom. I just didn't find it interesting. Okay. When I was a bit older, I did try reading the first book again, and it just didn't click with me.
Yeah. But I used to borrow so many books from the library,
Mm-hmm.
but you wouldn't borrow much books from the library.
The only time I borrowed books was when the library had that summer reading competition. So
Oh.
when you would go to the public libraries, they would give you these booklets where you would write down what you read every day, and you come to the library every week, and you got like a small sticker or like a prize for every week you completed. And once you
Mm-hmm.
complete the whole thing, they gave you a final puzzle to figure out like the final prize. So if you could solve the puzzle, it's usually like stupid stuff, like a notebook or a pencil or whatever. Um, But I remember that was the only time I actually read. And so I found a loophole in the system. So when they say log what you read, they don't tell you to read one whole book a day. So I literally would read like one chapter and like write it in my little notebook saying I read one chapter. So in the whole week I would read 7 chapters. And then would still get the prize at the end because I filled the log.
Oh my god. Cheating the system when she's like 10.
But yeah, so that was the only motivation for me to read because there was a prize at the end. Um, but I
Okay.
made it work. I got the prize.
Okay, you're prize driven. We got it.
But there was one book series that I was obsessed with. I still have the
Hmm.
books back home in Korea, but they were called The Warriors. So Warriors was the name of the series.
Oh
And as you
yeah.
couldn't tell from me, I'm like obsessed with cats. If it wasn't such a negative connotation of being a cat lady, I would have been a cat lady by now. Um, but I love cats. So basically, the Warriors book was based on cats. So there were cats that lived in clans, like so they had their own little group and they had their territory and survival la di da di la. Um, but the first book was like the introduction to the main character that is progressing throughout the whole series. And
Mm-hmm.
it's basically a ginger, like just house cat, right? He's like an
Yeah.
indoor outdoor cat, so he likes to live inside the house, and his owners will let him like leave outside. So like in this book, they always say, "Oh, house cats are lazy; they can't hunt because everything's given to them, right? Because they're provided a life."
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this house cat like stumbles upon this clan, and he was like, "Oh my god, this life is so exciting!" So he like wants to join the clan, but they're like, "No, you're like a prissy little house cat. You don't have the balls to join this clan." So basically, like they're like, "Ew, see, you even have like a little collar. Like you don't belong here and stuff like that." Which was a kid's form of discrimination, but we'll not get there. Um, and then so basically they like have a fight to prove like his power, and then his like collar breaks and like, oh, it's a sign from the gods that he belongs in the clan, and that's how he becomes a member of the clan. But basically, like I was so obsessed. I think it's just because it was fantasy world and it was
Mm-hmm.
cats. I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing in the whole entire world. And that's if you read those books, you would know where this reference is from. But the very first like Yahoo email that I made, my username was Leafpool, which is one of the
Uh,
names of the cats in that book. So you
yeah.
can see my obsession started with cats at a very young age. Um, but those book series were all really fun. I think there's quite a bit of books because there are like series where it talks about the main character, that house cat, but there's also like kind of branches off series that talk about different aspects of different cats. So I think there's like multiple character plots that you go through. But I remember really liking those books.
Sally was meant to be a cat lady, I can tell.
I know. I even foster cats. If you want to hear about that, I'll probably make an episode. Ha 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 ha.
Another really nostalgic book that we must talk about is the Chicken Soup series.
Oh my god, they're so sad.
Chicken Soup is basically like a short stories book where it's based on true stories.
It's like user submission stories. Yeah. Because sometimes you'll see the end of the story and you'll see like the name of the person who like submitted it. Because you can send stories to Chicken Soup to get it printed into the books.
Yeah. And those stories, because they're so real and they're true, that's why I feel like when you read it, you're really able to kind of fall into the emotion and live
Mm-hmm.
vicariously like what they've gone through.
Because they
And
have different like types of books. So they might have like Chicken Soup for the Soul, like losses, or like Chicken Soup for the Soul, like love stories. Like they do have kind of like
like a
group the
happy
stories
ending,
together.
sad ending. It's
Yeah,
like there's multiple parts in one book. And I feel like that's a book that people should read. It's really
it's such a
good.
good book. Yeah, it's it. I feel like it really opens your eyes to different
Mm-hmm.
experiences that other people have gone through.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember some of the stories like I would read before bed because I was fine reading Chicken Soup for the Soul books because the stories were sometimes not that long, so they're like little
Yeah.
short stories like within the whole book. So I would read like one or two here or there, and I
Yeah.
remember some of them I would just cry because they're so sad, and you think
Mm-hmm.
this person is so brave, first of all, for posting the story. Like, they had to submit it, right? So they had to go through the emotions when they wrote the story out. Um, but to also, like, have other people live through that experience and also show that you're not alone. I think that was the big part of the story, saying that you might be sad now, but you aren't the only person that have gone through this, and you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
be okay. I think that was a big part of what the book was meant to do.
Yeah.
And we were young when we read it, and I remember that some of the stories were so heartbreaking. Like, they were stories about adults, but also story about, kids passing away and stuff like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it also let me really appreciate the life I had then as well.
Yeah. Like those kind of true story kind of books, like nonfiction, they really gravitate towards your heart, and you're really able
Mm-hmm.
to really go through what they've gone through. I feel like that's a really good book to read no matter what age you are. That's like a really, really
Yeah.
good book. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But we
Like,
can't talk about Canada and not talk about Anne of Green Gables because that's such an
yes,
iconic part. I feel like
it
we
is.
do have to talk about it because
A
I haven't
PEI.
I haven't read all of the series, which is surprising because
Mm-hmm.
normally when I start a series I do,
You read everything. Yeah.
I've read like the first 4 books.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a good book. I'm pretty sure Anna Green Gables, like, on net, there used to be a Netflix series called Anne with an E, which is derived from Anna Green Gables. So I feel like people
Yeah.
might be familiar with it, but not with the actual title. But I would read the book. It's so good.
I remember, so I never read the Anna Green Gables books, but we grew up watching the animation show of
Yeah.
Anna Green Gables. So our aunt would like record them on like VHS or whatever or DVDs, and we would watch them. And it's very simple like drawings. Like, the animations aren't complex.
Because that was when we were young.
Yeah, so the thing that I remember the most about it is how good the food looked when they animated it.
Yeah,
Because
the
they would, like,
desserts and
bake
stuff.
cakes and desserts. They looked so good, and I just loved watching Anna Green Gables when I was younger too.
Yeah, and that was even before we left for Canada.
Yeah, but also if you're from Canada, you also know the Laura Ingalls Wilder books
Yeah, the Little House on the Prairie book
on the
series.
prairies.
Yeah.
So that's also a book series that I finished majority of. Like, I did read most of the series. But the thing that stuck with me the most in that book was they had this event in the winter
Oh my
where they
god.
made maple syrup candy. So it's a well-known practice in, obviously the colder parts of Canada. But they would like say they got trays and they would pack snow on it and they would like drizzle maple syrup in like shapes. So he's like, "Oh, I want
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a,
yeah.
a spiral shape." And they would draw a little
Mhm.
spiral. And then the coldness from the snow would kind of solidify the syrup, so it would be like a taffy,
Yeah.
and they would like eat that. And that was like, ever since I read that in that book, that was my lifelong goal to try that.
You can't do
I
that
have to
now because
try.
it's the snow's not clean, so you can't do that now. So like, don't go up to a
Yeah,
random
yeah.
tree and like get maple syrup and
So
pour it on the snow.
so what I didn't know is you have to actually prepare the maple syrup. You have to boil it to a certain like temperature to evaporate some of the moisture.
Yeah.
But that was like my lifelong goal, and it only took me up to I think grade 12 in high school. I achieved that goal. So I
Mhm.
think in grade 12, I actually I think during spring break, mom and we went on a trip to Quebec and like Ontario
Yeah.
in March. But it was still cold then. I remember it was still like -22 when we went there.
Yeah.
And we were going through like the ice, where the ice hotels are in Quebec. And they had the thing where you could buy the maple syrup taffy on a stick. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, Mom, can I like please try this? It's like my lifelong goal. I want to eat this so badly. And it was like $2. So Mom was like, yeah, sure. So they literally pour it on the snow that they like pack. And they put a little
Mm-hmm.
popsicle stick at one end. And they say like wait a little bit. And then they let you roll it. And because the outside's so cold, it doesn't melt when you like hold it around outside. And
Mm-hmm.
if it ever did, I just stuck it in snow to freeze it again, and then I would eat it. But that book is what gave me like I wanted to experience that, and it
Yeah.
like many years later I was able to. But that book is also good. It's like about a family. I think they're
Mm-hmm.
traveling no through the prairies. Aren't they traveling through the prairies? That book.
Yeah, they are. They go through different parts of. I can't remember. I think it's the more eastern part of the states that they're in, from what I remember.
I can't remember exactly, but
I don't
yeah,
know
they
where
it's
Wisconsin is. I think it's around there.
oh okay.
I
I
don't
don't know
know
where that
where
is.
that is. Okay, okay. Moving on. No, no
But
geography to
yeah,
see
it's
here.
them just traveling and then talking about them growing up and stuff like that. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
really good story.
I feel like that's a good story to read as well. Because a couple months ago I did download the books again and I gave them to you because I wanted to kind of go through my childhood. Because during quarantine we were like,
Yeah.
we need something to do. Might as well go through our nostalgia of doing something.
Mhm.
So we thought it was a good idea, but I ended up reading all of them again anyway. So I mean, it's good for me. I don't know if Sally's read them.
No.
Oh my god.
I remember though, when I was in undergrad at the bookstore that was on campus, they had a limited edition Laura Ingalls Wilder book, like with
Mm-hmm.
a hardcover that was like really pretty.
Oh yeah.
I kind of regret not buying it.
Yeah.
I wanted to buy it because it was so nostalgic when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a limited edition like hardcover book. I should have gotten it, but
I don't know
yeah,
why
that is one
limited
book.
edition makes my heart flutter. Like I must get
It
it
was
or
so
something.
so the cover was like kind of navy blue,
Yeah.
and the title was written like in gold, and there was like gold detailing around the border.
Oh, that's pretty.
It looked really nice, yeah. But like one more book series that I feel like they shouldn't have let children read
Mm-hmm.
is the series of unfortunate events.
Oh my gosh, but that's one of my favorite books.
I know it's such a good series, but it's so traumatizing.
I read all of
Like
it, by the way.
the kids, yeah, I think I read it all the way to the end too. Isn't there like 12 or 13 books? I think it's 13.
Yeah, and I read all of it
But
because
like each
13's an
book is like
unfortunate number.
different. Yeah, so basically there are these, three kids that where their parents died and now they're orphans. So like the next person who takes care of them basically is trying to kill them so he
Yeah.
can like get their inheritance. So the whole 13 books is them like running away and having to deal with different situations of trying not to get murdered. Like it's an intense story, but it was one of my childhood books that I did read a lot.
They have the series about that on Netflix as well, I think.
They do, but I didn't really like how they made it because I think they tried to condense like what a lot of the books into like a couple episodes, which is difficult.
Yeah, because one book is so detailed.
It is, and like it's each specific scenario is in each book, so to kind of incorporate multiple plot lines into like a couple episodes is very difficult.
Mm-hmm. That's
But
true. That book
it is
was
a really good
especially,
series, though.
yeah, that book was especially good. I remember. I
Yeah.
didn't really like the TV series though.
No.
Oh, and I do have a thing where if I watch a movie, I normally have to, if there's a book, I normally read the book first before I go watch a movie.
So for me, my view is if I watch a movie and I like it, I'll read the book because I know the book will be better than the movie.
But I like to
Except
read the book first.
that was the opposite for me in college because I read The Life of Pi and then I watched the movie. I
Yeah.
hated both. Um, and then
Okay.
I read the Da Vinci Code, read the movie, saw the movie. The movie is crap, but the book was good. So
Yeah. It's just if you read the book first, you know which parts of in the movie that the director decided to emphasize and which parts they took out a bit.
yeah.
Yes, but I feel like book reading is good. I've always enjoyed reading books. I feel like it kind of takes you away from current life and takes you away into that story so you're immersed in
Mm-hmm.
something else for a little bit. So I think reading books is good, and especially all the books that we've mentioned, they're very like childhood books, like nostalgic books.
Mm-hmm.
But books people can still like enjoy now, I think.
Yeah, I think now I would want to reread Series of Unfortunate Events because I probably can like understand it better.
And you probably
But
have a lot of time. So if
yeah.
you wanted to read it, I mean, I'm sure you could read it.
Oh, I should see if they have an audiobook for it.
Yeah. Oh, you
Because
can't
I would
even read it. You gotta listen to it. Oh my goodness.
no. I bought the Crazy Rich Asian books like last year and it's still sitting on my shelf. I haven't read it yet.
Oh my god. As you can see,
But
Sally's
yeah.
not a book person.
No, I only read books when I get like that sudden urge to read books and then I don't read them.
Yeah, I know. Okay. But I think since we talked about like childhood books, we should talk about like in the next episode, like what TV shows we used to watch when we were young while we grew up
Yes,
reading
we
those
didn't
books.
watch like a lot of TV, but I think there's a lot of childhood shows that aren't aired now that I'd
It's
love to
gonna be
reminisce
funny,
about.
Sally, if you say we didn't watch a lot of TV and then we start rambling off like 10,000 TV shows. People are gonna not think we didn't watch a lot of
Yeah,
TV.
but we didn't have like cable and stuff when we were younger. So the stuff that we watched were like the programs that you just got on TV.
Yeah, like the Freeview.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we didn't
Yeah.
have like a big like watch base, but we did watch TV.
Yeah. But we only watch TV for a little bit, I feel.
Mhm.
Not too much during the day. But I think this is a good point to wrap up this episode. I can't think of any more books unless you can.
I think that's all I've read when I was younger.
Yeah. But everyone knows now because I can't mention it enough that now we have a YouTube channel where we're uploading our episodes as well as on like Spotify or Apple Podcast.
Yes. And you can find us on Instagram at Mixing Cultures Podcast, where I try to select the most random bits of previews from each episode so you don't know what to expect. And we do also post when our episodes are live, so you guys can always know when you can find a new episode.
Yeah, so I hope everyone has wonderful rest of their day and we will see you next week.
Yes. Bye bye.
Bye bye.